Good evening and a very warm welcome to you wherever you may be. Thank you for joining us here on the Geelong Region Soccer Show. It is episode 77 and tonight's episode proudly brought to you by Anytime Fitness Geelong. My name is Tonchi Prusak. I'm with you over the next 60 minutes and joining me in the co-hosts' chairs, multiple there, Steve Curtin. Good evening, Steve. How are you?
Multiple chairs. There you go.
Multiple chairs.
Good. Thanks, mate. Pretty tired after the weekend, but that music in the intro, it just gives you a bit of a pep in your step when you hear it, because you know that not only is it upbeat, but we get to talk about everything that's happened across the weekend and what's coming up over the next 7 days in Geelong. So fantastic. Let's do it.
Absolutely. There's a lot happening on tonight's show. Really looking forward to tonight's show. There's going to be lots of guests, and let's have a look at before we do that, let's look at some of the guests that are tonight. Steve, it is all about Surf Coast Football Club tonight. They are the featured club in focus, and thanks to Anytime Fitness Geelong, the Geelong region, in fact, because there's about 5 or 6 gyms in that Anytime Fitness family, if you like. But mate, who are our guests for tonight?
Yeah, well, as you say, thanks to Anytime Fitness, and proudly a member of Anytime myself as well. So, I mean, as you can tell.
Of course.
Brett King, the president, he's only recently taken up the mantle there from Mariella. So we're looking forward to meeting Brett for the first time and finding his story about how Brett King came to take the helm of the presidency at Surf Coast and what he's got in store for the next 12 months. And not only that, we've got a very special guest as well. It is the senior captain, Tom Langman, and he's not only going to talk about what's happening in the first team, who've had a really good start to the season, winning their first 2 games, but also a very important cause, which we'll touch on when he comes on to the segment.
A bit later on, absolutely, yeah.
Can I jump in and say as well, don't be fooled by that previous slide. We haven't got Ange and Tommy Rogic coming on to the show tonight.
No. But speaking of which, we might as well talk about it now. There's so much happening locally, but before we do, we would be amiss, before we get to the news desk, not to talk about some of the stuff that is happening at the moment internationally. Overnight, obviously, Ange Postecoglou and Glasgow Celtic doing really well. Now, Steve, last night on the Football Out West show, we spoke to an Australian coach who is at the moment the only Australian coach to have won a major European title. And he's done that with the New Saints, I think it's called.
The New Saints, or TNS as their nickname is.
TNS in the Welsh Premier League. That's Anthony Limbrick. A great interview, absolutely fantastic interview on last night's Football Out West show. You really do not want to miss that. You jump over to the Football Out West show YouTube channel. You'll be able to see that whole interview from last night. Absolute ripper. And I tell you what, had some really good words of advice and a really good insight into what it takes for an Aussie coach, a young Aussie coach whose career was cut very short by injury, to leave Tasmania, where he was born, head up to Queensland, then eventually to the UK, where he's done some amazing things. So Ange Postecoglou could well be the second Australian coach to have hit it big time in Europe. His Celtic are just doing absolutely incredibly well. But, mate, turning our attention more to international matters, I guess, with regards to the World Cup and the Futsal World Cup, which kicked off, or the Asian Football Federation or Futsal Federation Championships, which is the first step to the Futsal World Cup. Yep. It's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it?
It is the AFF Futsal Championship. There's a picture of some futsal roos there. So the first match took place 4:00 this afternoon, our time. We played Timor-Leste, and we got a win in that one as well, didn't we, Tonch?
Yeah, I think it was a 7-4 win, and it's hot off the press. So 7-4 win. You're able to watch a lot of these games on Facebook Live, on YouTube, on the YouTube channel as well.
Yeah, and the MyFootball app, I believe, has been advertised as hosting it as well. So, so be aware of these games coming up. they've got the other fixtures coming up as well. Myanmar,
Yeah.
we play them next. That is actually
It's on
tomorrow,
Tuesday, is that right? Yeah.
April 5th. That's tomorrow. That's 2:00, 2:00 our time, Eastern.
Yep.
And
Yes.
then we play again.
Wednesday.
So 3 games in 3 days. Hey,
Yeah.
2:00
Wednesday against
also.
Vietnam.
Yeah, that's against Vietnam. That's correct. And then if we're good enough, we'll play in the semis on the 8th, and the final will be on the 10th of April. So hopefully we can go all the way to the final maybe and get a bit of coverage for futsal. We were talking just in our chat before the show, and there's only one Victorian-based player in that squad. Everyone is from New South Wales, bar one Canberran and one Melburnian. So it's important. Let's get futsal going here. And we just talked about Tommy Rogic, and that ties in because his skills were very much honed from being a great futsal player in Canberra when he was growing up as a youngster too. And look how far it's taken him. He's in sensational form. And if we're able to somehow make it to the World Cup in Qatar, we're going to need him fit and playing well. So we're going to rely on him to get us there, I think.
100%. Now, speaking of YouTube and our YouTube channel as well, we've got a YouTube channel called the Geelong Region Soccer Show YouTube channel, of course. Now, if you want to see some gold video footage of when Geelong had an actual team in the National Indoor Soccer League back in the late 80s, go on our YouTube channel, scroll through all the archives. You will see some footage of players that were once regarded the best, or some of the best futsal players in Australia back in the late 80s. Robbie Nogler, I think, actually won an award. Steve Radojevic, Eddie Radojevic, Lucky Interisi, the list goes on. George Domovsky, Peter Stojanovsky. The names just, for those old timers like myself will remember those names. There's a golden era of futsal in Geelong. And Steve, did you actually know that the World Futsal Championships were held in Australia in 1987, I believe, and some of those games were actually held at the arena here in Geelong. So Geelong has got a proud history of futsal, and hopefully that will one day be resuscitated, if you like.
That'd be great, and I definitely didn't know that stat. I was just a little bit too young, and
probably before you came to Geelong.
The news didn't filter up to the Bendigo Advertiser at the time. I think maybe, and it should have.
Possibly, mate. We spoke about our guest tonight. We've got a lot of local news as well. Before we do that, the World Cup draw, that was really weird. That was drawn with not all the teams qualified, but let's have a look at some of those divisions. Now, I do believe if Australia qualifies, they will be in Group D, So that's the Intercontinental Playoff 1. France, Denmark, Tunisia. And Australia obviously has to get past United Arab Emirates. And then it's Peru, the 5th placed South American side. Group E features Spain, Germany, and Japan. And our neighbours across the ditch, across the Tasman, New Zealand, they are fighting for a spot against, is it Costa Rica from the CONCACAF?
CONCACAF, that is correct. They're playing Costa Rica, and they're a chance. I think that in a one-off game, that'd be played in Doha in June. So we're playing on June 7th against the UAE. Is our first crack at it. Obviously, need to win that. It's not like it used to be. It's just a one-off game, and then it'll be Peru in a one-off game if we can beat them. Of course, very funny. I remember this well from being at the World Cup 4 years ago that France, Denmark, Australia, and Peru were all a group in that World Cup. And then we've been drawn with France, Denmark, and either us or Peru perhaps getting into that group again. It's like, where's the variety, FIFA? Come on, let's mix it up a little bit and give us a bit of spice. But looking forward to seeing what happens in those intercontinental playoffs. It's going to be high stakes, to say the least, when those events come around.
Yeah, it's a shame it's not that home and away leg because having the home crowd or the hostile away crowd just adds to the meaning, just adds to the whole atmosphere and the build up. Last but not least, before we do go on to all of the local news and the results that happened over the weekend, just hot off the press once again. It's only come out. Yeah, Soccer Mums is back. There's one a pamphlet or flyer, if you like, for a program that is going to be run at Corio Soccer Club. But I am told that there's also going to be another one that's going to be run at Drysdale, I believe. So we've got Soccer Mums. You don't have to be a mum, even though the name says Soccer Mums. It could be any ladies, young or old. You don't have to have experienced having played soccer in any way. It's just basically an introductory football program designed specifically for women, and participants can have fun, meet new people, learn basic football skills, pretty much, as they say, in a social judgment-free environment, not just for mums, but for all women from all walks of life. Hume Reserve is going to be the venue in the northern suburbs. Drysdale Sporting Precinct is going to be the venue in the southern suburbs, and in conjunction with Leisure Networks, participants will be free. So normally I think it costs about $80 to $100.
That's awesome. That's so good. Yeah,
it's a brilliant thing for females, mums, to get back into regular exercise, and not just exercise, but a little bit of socializing as well. So folks, pass that on to Mother's Day's coming up fairly soon. This could be the ideal Mother's Day present, even though it doesn't cost anything. But there's the catch: doesn't cost anything, so
free referral.
Absolutely. Now, mate, we're going to take a very, very quick break. We've got a couple of words from our sponsors. Big shout out to Anytime Fitness, who are our episode sponsor for today. Straight after that, we launch into the news desk, and geez, have we got a lot of news to get through. Stay with us, folks. Don't go away. You are tuning into the Geelong Region Soccer Show. It is episode 77. Don't go away.
It all starts with heart. 500,000 people are changing their lives every day with Anytime Fitness. That's 500,000 hearts beating as one. Join them. From cardio to strength, free weights to functional. All Anytime Fitness clubs contain the most up-to-date equipment that suits all fitness levels and any workout goal. With your Anytime Fitness membership, you have access to our clubs all over the world. Get your fitness fix 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, wherever you are, anywhere, anytime. Whether you train at 5 p.m. or 3 a.m, your safety is our top priority. All of our clubs have 24-hour security monitoring and secure key access, as well as private bathrooms and changing rooms. So what are you waiting for? For more information or to join the Anytime movement, pop into the Highton, Leopold, Drysdale, Torquay or Ocean Grove gyms. Visit our Geelong City gym at its new location of 140 Miracle Street, or text your name to 0477 225 518 and our membership consultant will get back to you. Anytime Fitness. Looking after your health and fitness, anytime, anywhere.
Wow, it's such a motivating, inspiring theme. We'll have to just launch straight
into
some...
loud.
Loud, yeah. We'll have to launch straight into some scores from the weekend show. It feels so late, doesn't it, after the clock's going back to regular time.
Huge difference.
It feels like we're sitting here at 9:15.
I find this the most depressing time of the year when it gets so dark so late. But we're out on the training track earlier today with the little ones, and by 6 o'clock it was like, you need the lights. You fair income need to switch the floodlights on. But what can you do? Mate, let's turn our attention straight away to some of the results that have happened over the weekend.
Yeah, look, let's go straight to the NPL results. I'm getting up on the screen there now. NPL 2 saw North Geelong make the long trip to play Langwarrin. Ended 2-2. Caleb Mikulich, another goal for him. He's been in good scoring form since he moved across from the Knights. And George Ellis as well, chiming in with the goal as well. So well done to him. Geelong Soccer Club, they played in front of the biggest attendance that you could hope for in local sport, in front of an estimated 5,000 people at BT Connor Reserve against the Preston Lions. Unfortunately, they lost 5-0 against an inspired Lions on that night when they opened their new facility, their new social rooms at BT Connor, and that venue, we looked at it last night, and we spoke to their president last night as well on the Football Out West show. Geez, that venue is looking good, isn't it?
Oh, unbelievable. It really, really is looking fantastic, I tell you what. We might even actually have a little bit of footage of the BT Connor Reserve game. Hopefully,
not to needle our Geelong Soccer Club people, but just to showcase what our local footballers are able to we're able to achieve as local clubs. This is the upper echelons of it, what we should be striving for. And look at the amount of people on that far side of the ground there.
We spoke to David Svetkovsky, the Preston president, last night on the Football Out West show, Steve, and he did mention that the crowd was just north of 5,000 people. Incredible. I mean, this is what we're up against. This is what the Geelong clubs are up against. Geelong in NPL 3 is up against this type of crowd, these type of resources, this type of money. Corio in State 1 are up against clubs like Caroline Springs George Cross, Brimbank Stallions, Banyule City, Essendon Royals, all clubs that have got astounding budgets. North Geelong in NPL 2, well, they're up against clubs like Bulleen's one that comes to mind. They've got heaps and heaps of money. Werribee City even, Werribee Bees, they've got an entire social club behind them as well. So it's just another world, isn't it? It's just an incredibly different. And so our clubs sometimes punch well above their weight with the limited resources that we have down here in Geelong. But you just look at the crowd, just look at the pitch, as you said. It's just amazing, actually. It really, really is astounding what we've got there, what they're up against down in Melbourne.
Yeah, that's it there. That's a pretty stunning free kick by Connor Bell there as well. He nearly scored a hat-trick in that game. He's in good form for Preston, and they're doing very well in that NPL 3. But, that's it. That's what we want to be aiming for, and we need to celebrate the fact that there is Victorian football doing well enough for things like this to happen, and hopefully it keeps happening and more clubs are pulling, crowds of large numbers, and the quality on the field is reflecting of that as well.
Yeah, before we move to the state leagues, there's the ladder for the NPL 2 competition. North Geelong finds itself in 5th position. They are, one win, one draw, one loss from their opening 3 games. Then we've got Geelong. They find themselves in 9th position, I suppose. 1 win and 2 losses.
1 win against North Sunshine at home the previous week. So their home form is good for Geelong.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And, hopefully they can maintain I guess at home they can do something similar as well. Let's quickly look at the fixtures, by the way, for the NPL competition. North Geelong are at home to Goulburn Valley Suns. So it's a game at Alco Park on Saturday. They should win that. They should do quite well with that one. Hopefully they can get the 3 points there and then move a little bit further up the ladder. Nunawading City will host Geelong Soccer Club. Nunawading City lost on the weekend, I believe, to the leaders Western United. So they're always a tough team there at Marnie's Reserve. And so another away trip for Geelong Soccer Club. Now moving along to the State 1 and State 2
State 1 and State 2. Wasn't a great weekend for our State 1 and 2 clubs. Corio, their first home game of the season against FC Clifton Hill, hoping to get a win, but I think a big week might have taken its toll there for Corio. And I had a chat to Santino, the king of Paco, as I said yesterday, because I ran into him yesterday. And he had a few thoughts about the game. And but it sounds like, a big week for Corio. They went up to play Altham midweek. That was a tough game on the synthetic, and they had to come back and play again against FC Clifton Hill, a team that they might have knocked off, they might have thought, but not the case. Mill Park as well coming down and doing a good performance to get a 1-0 against Geelong as well. And Santino's mate Kev was happy with that result because he is a Mill Park man. So hopefully our Corio and Geelong Rangers lads can bounce back next week.
Yeah, Corio President Mario Gregorio spoke to him earlier today. He was livid, absolutely livid. Said there was a great crowd on the weekend. The first 20 minutes, Corio conceded goals, and then after that, they were chasing their tails. And look, the players even apologised to a lot of the fans after the game. They were just, very, very disappointed. So hopefully, as you say, this week it'll be a different story. There's the ladder for State League One. Corio plummet down to third last position, 2 draws and 1 loss. After two reasonable results, they drew in their opening 2 games. They were certainly looking at home to take the 3 points. Never happened, never eventuated. So, pardon me. So they're definitely very keen to try and do a little bit better this week coming. They've got a tough game against Keilor Park away. Keilor Park have won 1 game, lost 2 games. Always a tough game away from home. And I do believe Keilor Park triumphed in both their encounters against Corio last year. Steve, State 2, the State 2 ladder. Rangers also.
Rangers. Yeah, Rangers end up just with a 1 point from their 3 games, and the goal difference is -5. So we knew it was going to be probably a bit of a tricky year for Rangers, but they've got some good young players in the squad, and they can turn things around, I think, as well. You don't know what's going to happen each week at the moment. A lot of clubs have got players being ruled out and coaches being ruled out and players dropping like flies with COVID or exposure or things like that. So I think if people just keep at it, keep working hard, that their luck can turn around this season.
Yeah, let's quickly move along to State 4 and State 5 of the men's competition. It was a big derby. We'll talk a little bit more about this a little later on in the show, but not the result our featured Club in Focus team wanted for tonight. They wanted. Surf Coast 1, thanks to a goal by Jack Banks, and Bell Park 2, goals by Dom Versace. And, mate, we've got some footage of that game. Unbelievable goals. If you don't want to hang around for anything else, you do want to hang around for those 2 goals by Dom Versace in the big derby, the State League 4 derby. Melbourne City at home to Golden Plains.
Yeah, Golden Plains couldn't quite get the job done again. They're going down by the narrow margin, 2-1. As you mentioned as well, Bell Park really had a pretty disappointing start to the season, 2 losses at home. Then they go away from home in the derby at Surf Coast, and Dom Versace with a couple of bangers there to get them over the line was a surprise result, perhaps, in that there. And we'll just go back to some of those other results on that slide that we got there as well. In State 5, it was Deakin Ducks, 2 goals for James Robinson. Is that the James Robinson from Victory or a different James Robinson?
No, I think it must be a different one, isn't it? Didn't he hang up his boots a long, long time ago? He was...
He hasn't made a comeback.
Yeah, he was coaching out of Ballarat way and what you're not. But either way, this James Robinson, he's done really well. He scored something like 4 goals or 3 goals or something like that. 4 goals for Deakin Ducks in the opening 3 games. So doing very, very well, I tell you what.
Actually, I saw. Can I jump in there as well? Golden Plains. Yeah. I saw a name on the team sheet in the Sports TG for Golden Plains in goal, Jay Diddlitz, and I was a little bit surprised by that as well. So I'm not too sure if anyone knows any more about that as well, but I did see that in Sports TG as well.
I think he played for Werribee City at one stage, Diddlitz, ex-North Geelong Junior, and for a while then went up to Werribee City. He was there for quite a few years, yes.
So it's not Joey making a surprise comeback?
No. It might be some distant cousins or something like that, yeah. I think it could be the nephew of former Corio coach Ante Diddlitz. I think.
Oh, could be.
Might be the case.
Could be. Yeah.
Anyway,
all right, let's push on. I've got us off topic, haven't I? Let's go.
Now, before we go on to State 5, let's jump back to State 4 and have a quick look at the ladder there.
Yeah.
Surf Coast tonight. Tonight's feature team. They just missed a gilt-edged opportunity to go or equal top. Laverton Keilor Wolves. Now, that's the team from who swept everything before it in State 5 last year. Yeah, they are just, they are going great guns. 3 wins from 3 games. Laverton as well. Always a difficult side, but it's not good to see the Geelong team sort of... Bell Park, after that win, they've moved up to 8th spot. But Golden Plains, 3 games, 3 losses. Sitting in second last position, only courtesy of a slightly better goal difference, I guess. But look, not exactly what we want down here in Geelong. We want our Geelong teams to be doing really well. Let's move to State 5.
Yeah, and as we mentioned, Deakin Ducks getting the win 2-0 over Wyndham. Barwon, good result for them, 4-0 over Melton Phoenix. All of those goals in the second half, 2 for Milton Bailey, 1 for Patrick Scuza, and 1 for Christian Mann, which was a penalty kick. Now, Lara didn't have things going their way, going down 5-2. No goal scorers on Sports TG, so whoever's in charge of the old Sports TG, hopefully we can get those scores in so that those 2 goal scorers don't miss out on being counted in the stats at the end of the season. And unfortunately for Surfside Waves, there were no goal scorers. They went down 7-0 to Balmoral FC. So still a bit of work to do for Surfside Waves. They're another club that hopefully their fortunes will turn around.
Now, some good news for Barwon during the week. Last week's loss against Wyndham, the 4-3 loss against Wyndham, has been overturned. It has been registered as a 3-0 win to Barwon. Dale Harris, the Barwon coach, confirmed that an ineligible player, in fact, 2 had taken the field against Barwon for Wyndham, and they got sprung. And what happens when you get sprung? You lose the points, and so that has been overturned. And as a result, Barwon now, probably not the way they wanted to get those 3 points against Wyndham, but nonetheless, every point helps. And in a division such as State 5, where it's always so tight, particularly up at the top, a couple of those points here and there throughout the season can prove critical for any team aspiring for promotion. So at the moment, Barwon is the only Geelong club on top of its respective ladder. 3 games, 3 wins. Look at that. Goals for 9, goals against 0. So 9 points sitting very, very pretty on top. Deakin Ducks, they're mid-table, 2 wins and 1 loss in 6th spot. Then further down, we've got Lara United in 9th position, and then the Surfside Waves in 12th position, firmly entrenched to the bottom of the competition standings. That's in State 5. Let's have a quick look at the fixtures coming up. So going back to State 4, Bell Park are at home to Barnstoneworth United. That's this Saturday at 3 p.m. at the Bell Park Sports Club. Then another Geelong derby, Steve, in State League 4.
Yeah, well, we've seen the derbies bring up some surprise results, like we saw Bell Park surprising Surf Coast on Saturday. So I don't know, maybe Golden Plains will think they're a chance to surprise Surf Coast, but I think my money is on Surf Coast at the moment unless I stand to be corrected. And then we'll see. There's some exciting games coming up. It's good. We've almost got a derby every weekend, haven't we?
Yeah, pretty much. And I'll tell you what, once we start the derbies in State 5, gosh, we can expect quite a fair few derbies there, with 4 out of the 12 teams being from Geelong. Speaking of State 5, Melton Phoenix are hosting our Deakin Ducks. That's at McPherson Park. After getting slammed 4-0 by Barwon, they'll be on the rebound, and the Ducks will certainly be keen to make it 3 wins out of 4 this season. West Point versus Barwon. That's going to be a tough one at Tom Roberts Reserve. West Point, always a difficult side at home, but Barwon making the short trip up to Point Cook, and it's going to be a tough game for them. But Barwon, they can't afford to drop any points if they want to keep that top position intact. Lara United at home to Maribyrnong Greens at 3 p.m. at the Lara Recreation Reserve, and Surfside Waves at home to Bendigo City. Another tough game, Steve. You're pretty familiar with this Bendigo outfit, and apparently there's some very, very good players in that team.
Yeah, Bendigo City's been able to recruit a few local lads from the Bendigo region that were plying the trade at some of the NPL academy teams or the NPL under-20s and things like that at Green Gully and Brunswick City. So, yeah, look, they've got a pretty handy team. I think, a tough game for Surfside there. But the only thing is, unless they get some sort of jet lag from the 3-hour trip from Epsom Huntley Recreation Reserve down to Shell Road, the Bendigo players. That's a long road trip for a State 5 game.
Yeah. And last but not least, we've got the Victorian Premier League Women's. That kicked off yesterday down at Salandra Recreation Reserve in Cranbourne East. Southern United came up against our own Geelong Galaxy, the two former NPLW teams. And what a thriller, a 9-goal thriller. Take us through some of the goal scorers there, Steve.
Yeah, a crazy game here as well. And we had Meg Lemons. She scored in the 12th minute. She's actually a former Galaxy player. I believe she's been to South Melbourne and then she's returned back to the club. Lola Button as well on the score sheet. She's just joined Galaxy from Brunswick Zebras as well, so a new player. And then Kylie Alexa, who's joined from the United States. She's come in and scored a hat-trick.
80 seconds.
82, 85, 89 minutes. Unbelievable.
Insane. I mean, there's the ladder. So obviously that
must be the fastest and latest hat trick that's ever been scored in a football match in Victoria. Surely
we've got a little bit of footage courtesy of former Geelong Galaxy president Branko Krastevsky, who sent us in the 5th goal, the main goal. So just take a look at this. Unfortunately, we didn't have the sound there, but nonetheless, that was you could see the jubilation there. 89th minute winner. Yeah, 89th minute winner. That's absolutely amazing. So well done to Galaxy. They did incredibly well there. And they are at home this week to KC Comets, another difficult side in the VPLW.
Yeah.
That game is on Sunday at Hume Reserve at 3 p.m. So, folks, if you're not doing anything, get yourself out to Hume Reserve this week. I'm not too sure if the new dressing rooms will be in action. I'm pretty sure they're not yet ready, and they won't be yet ready. I was out there earlier today, and it's starting to look really good, but that won't be ready probably until late April. But nonetheless, get yourself out to Hume Reserve on Sunday, and it should be a very good game. But Kylie Alexa, is that her name? Yeah, she looks like a very, very interesting player. Kylie Alexa, sorry.
Yeah,
looks like a
a lot of
very
speed
good
from
player.
what I'm hearing. Yeah.
Absolutely. Mate, I think we're really come to the end of our roundup. So much happening. Geez, wait till after Easter when the local competition starts as well. There's going to be so much to talk about, so much going on. We're going to take a very, very short break. Look, when we return, it's Brett King is our first guest. He is the newly appointed president at Surf Coast Football Club, and we'll be talking to Brett and getting the latest that's happening down at Banyulwarri Reserve, folks. Don't go away. We'll be right back, and I can't wait for this. This is going to be a real interesting conversation. You're tuning in to the Geelong Region Soccer Show. It is episode 77.
It all starts with heart. 500,000 people are changing their lives every day with Anytime Fitness. That's 500,000 hearts beating as one. Join them. From cardio to strength, free weights to functional, all Anytime Fitness clubs contain the most up-to-date equipment that suits all fitness levels and any workout goal. With your Anytime Fitness membership, you have access to our clubs all over the world. Get your fitness fix 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, wherever you are, anywhere, anytime. Whether you train at 5 p.m. or 3 a.m, your safety is our top priority. All of our clubs have 24-hour security monitoring and secure key access, as well as private bathrooms and changing rooms. So what are you waiting for? For more information or to join the Anytime movement, pop into the Highton, Leopold, Drysdale, Torquay or Ocean Grove gyms. Visit our Geelong City gym at its new location of 140 Miracle Street or text your name to 0477 225 518 and our membership consultant will get back to you. Anytime Fitness. Looking after your health and fitness, anytime, anywhere.
That's right. The Football Out West Show, our sister program, every Sunday night at 7 p.m.
That's a loud promo, that one, mate.
That is a very
My
loud
ears
promo.
have just been, I don't know how Brett's going there, but my ears have just been blasted.
Speaking of Brett, it's a very warm welcome to our first guest for tonight, Brett King. He's the president of Surf Coast Football Club, and it's our club in focus. So, Brett, a very, very warm welcome to the Geelong Region Soccer Show. How are you?
Sanchi, great, mate. Great. Very well, good. Thank you. And thanks for having me on. And it's great to be here.
Now, Brett, first of all, you've got a very, very, colourful footprints to follow. We've had Steve Christou in the president's role a couple of years ago, Mariella Pocklington, and now yourself. How have you found your first few, months of being a president at Banyul Warri?
Yeah, look, it's been very busy. We've had a lot of items we've tried to address as a committee, and that's been great. It's a reasonably new committee. And yeah, it's been exciting times. Certainly a lot to progress for us, and it's certainly a major project in flight. Divides our focus a fair bit, I guess, on football operations, on teams and traditional elements, and also then takes a lot of time with regard to the pavilion project, which we'll no doubt will speak to. So exciting times, certainly.
And Brett, you obviously feel very passionate about football down there on the Surf Coast, given that you've taken up the presidency role and giving up a lot of your time to do so. Tell us a little bit about your footballing background and how you come on your journey to end up being in the presidential suite there down at Banyul Warri.
Yeah. No, thanks. Good question. I guess from my point of view, I started off as a very young junior up in Shepparton. So, region of Victoria, and was playing some domestic football up there, and then moved into the Northeastern Soccer League. Played a number of a couple of years senior years with Tatura Soccer Club. So started in a different region slightly, but then wandered my way down through Melbourne for university years and joined Melbourne Uni Rangers joined Rangers to play a good few seasons with them and had a really enjoyable time. And that's sort of where my playing career, outdoor grass playing career ended. Moved across to the UK and did some stuff over there, and then played a bit of indoor, a bit of futsal, that sort of stuff over the years following. So, and eventually found myself living in Geelong and then now down in Torquay. So, yeah, it's been a pretty long and travelled career, not from the point of view of my football being the star as such, but just life and football's been a part of my life ever since. And I guess one notable element was that when I was in the UK, I got to go to the Germany World Cup in 2006. So, had a long career of football being part of my life.
Now, mate, I guess we touched on the pavilion there at Banyul Warri Reserve. It's exciting times there for the club, and it's something that when we've spoken to the previous presidents, both Mariella and Steve, they've both lamented how the club hasn't really got proper club rooms where it can hang its own paraphernalia and its own merchandise and what you're not. That's all about to change. Tell us the latest. Give us an update as to what's happening with the club rooms down at Banyul Warri.
Yeah, look, it's a really good focus for us. I guess subject to COVID and isolation, things are going pretty well. So cross fingers, touch wood and all those bits. We're about 3 months, or let's say 2 or 3 months. I don't want to jinx it. We're a few months away from the work being finalised. There's still a lot of works happening on the outside of the project. It's a $2.1 million piece of work to convert what is a multi-purpose shared use pavilion in the reserves there, to add on some facilities, the club room, kitchen, and new change rooms and new disabled toilets, new ref rooms, new storage area onto that facility, and many of those spaces will be dedicated to ourselves. So very exciting on the back of that. And as you've pointed out through previous presidents' discussions, we've happily made do with the facilities we had. We didn't want to bemoan those too much, but I know what it can be, and now it feels real as we see the steels go up and the formwork and the shape now come of the building. It looks amazing. There's some good stuff online, but there's a really cool little picture that shows there's going to be 2 grandstand winglets that come out, and sort of think of an 80s sort of starship sort of setup with these amazing grandstands on the side. It looks really effective. And what they do is they're small, but they're close and low to the pitch, and they look over our Astro pitch and then our pitch 2, as we call it, to get a really great view of the facility. So yeah, there's lots of good additions there. The work's coming along well. I've been lucky enough to walk through the site a number of times. It's only 500 minutes from my house, so it looks amazing.
And Brett, this sci-fi inspired football viewing facility, when can we expect it? Do we think it'll be available blocking out the winds from the Bass Strait region this year, perhaps? Or
that's a good question. The note of the question is important. We've just added a little bit more wind protection on the southwesterly corner to counter that exact item, given some design elements we're going to be tweaked. So that bit's good. The delivery date at the moment, we're looking at sort of mid-June is handover date. We know then we've got a series of club works to do on the back of that to establish the canteen itself, get that up and running, the club rooms, and then fit out and a lot of other things. So I don't want to sort of start counting down the days because, look, every week at the moment we feel like we're getting a minor hit here and there with regard to COVID isolation type issues with sort of processes going through. But much of the big work has been complete. Many of the big items are already on site, so the risk is reducing with regard to the days as we go through it. But yeah, mid-June at the moment for release, and then probably a good few weeks after that with regard to us then fitting it out and really getting our teeth into it.
Brent, let's talk about some things, I guess, that are a little bit more closer to the date, and that's the start of the season or the local league season. Yeah. How are things looking with the various teams? I know the Mini Roos hubs were just recently came back to training, so there's a lot happening there in that space. How, post-COVID, we're hoping this is going to be the year that there's no interruptions. How are numbers looking? What's the situation with coaches, volunteers, et cetera?
Yeah, great. Very strong from our point of view. We've closed registrations in many of our teams. There's a bit of a, as I guess all the viewers will know, but we had to register teams a good few weeks ago now, and we've done that on the back of forecasts from last year. We've ordered tops 6 or 8 or 10 weeks ago. We've got coaches organised. So we've had to sort of close a few teams off earlier than we probably like to do, a few age groups off earlier. We're looking at a rough estimate, probably a good 10 to 15% growth from last year.
Wow.
And we had really strong numbers on the back of last year, even though it was a COVID year. So for us, look, I'll wait for the final numbers to come in. We're at least back to where we were, if not stronger than where we were in the 2019, the pre-COVID years. And as a good example, our under-9s, so last year and probably most years previous that weren't affected, we've had 4 boys teams and maybe 1 girls team in under-9s. This year we've got 6 boys and 2 girls. So 3 extra teams in the under-9s. We've just got, our under-11s are equally as strong. All our squads are a little bit bigger as well, so we've got some fat built into them for COVID isolation type issues. So not only have we got similar team numbers in other age groups, the squads are a little bit bigger, and so therefore there's more members across that, and especially the younger groups. Training for us commenced, anything up to about 4 to 6 weeks ago, and then everyone was back the week before last with regards to those younger kids. So we're certainly well in flight now, and the season's building. It's great to walk around the facility, up there probably every second night to walk around to see all the kids running around and the usage of the pitch. And so it's a really great vibe. It's coming along really well.
And how is the situation with the coaches? Is there adequate coaches? Is this an opportunity maybe to call out for any parents, volunteers that are interested in coaching to get in touch with you?
We're pretty good with coaches. The committee and especially Eva worked really hard with regard to coaches in advance this year, and that's been a big improvement from previous years. We had to work hard to get them called out and sort of pull them out of the network. We're probably coaching assistance is probably one that we really need. Our coaches look for some support. They're often, sometimes might be away, they might be in isolation themselves. So certainly coach assistance is really important for us. The big gap at the moment is on probably team managers with regard to the call to arms scope for team managers, because our coaches, a lot of them are volunteers, and they really look for that team manager to help them out with regards to the coordination aspects of just organise the week-to-week stuff, especially as games are commencing in the next couple of weeks. So for us, that's a big focus is that element. We're putting a lot of work into our coaches. There's a good initiative we've got up and running with regard to a new coaches director, Matt Betts, coming on board and putting some focus at our sort of 9, 11s and 12 age groups initially to there. So, it's a hard-fought road, but we've made some really good improvements in that space. We're always looking for more volunteers. It is a big gap for us, and especially as we open our canteen, huge opportunity for us to sort of push into that space, which is something pretty new for us as well. So that'll be a big focus once the canteen is available to us.
And Brett, you mentioned the challenges of COVID that we've seen so far this year. It's a little bit different to last year and the year before. It seems like things are going to continue regardless of what's going on at the various clubs. How has the club been coping? Obviously, there's been a lot of cases in schools and things like that as well. Is the club being able to find any strategies to deal with this, or is it something that you have to cop and suck it and see?
Look, it's a little of the latter, to be honest. We're as flexible as we can be. As I said, that's why the coach's assistant sort of element that I mentioned before is so important, because if a coach is themselves isolated or with COVID, then we still want training to go ahead as much as we can on that. We've got some flexibility with combining some teams together if they need to and pulling them apart and all sorts of combinations. We just want kids on the park for as many minutes as we can and as often as possible and all that sort of stuff. So we don't have any sort of silver bullet direct strategies that are unique to the world that we're really going through. But from our perspective, as I said, the only one is probably our squads are that little bit larger to make sure we can then field teams once the games come around, because we're really conscious that it's going to happen. There's going to be cancellations, in across the areas, and we're trying to avoid that as much as possible. But to be honest, it's probably more of a fingers crossed than a great strategy we can really implement.
Absolutely. Regardless, it is an exciting time. It's great to have football and community football at back, and it's also great to see new faces as well, Brett. So we hope you enjoy your reign as president down there at Surf Coast. And here's an opportunity, maybe just to give a shout out to the other members of your committee, your vice president, secretary, treasurer. Who else makes up the committee down there at Surf Coast?
Yeah, it's well, I've already mentioned a couple of people there. So Eva and Matt are on the committee, secretary and committee member. We've got Janine, who's on treasurer. We've got Rob Gate. We've got Vince on there as well. So there's five. There's Lee McCripps as well. So there's 7 of us, I think, on committee. We're always after more. We've sort of expanded our committee via our constitution to have up to 10 because, dividing and conquering is a big thing for us. We want to make sure that we're not burning out the people that do volunteer, and we're wanting to sort of limit those roles as much as we can. So that was a big thing we did last year in the constitution, was expand the size of the committee from 6 to up to 10. And on the back of that, so it's probably the area we struggle with the most with regards to volunteering is people on the committee side. I think people, when they see the kids on the park, the bits around coaching, team managers, helping set up goals, that sort of stuff, we sort of get by with that pretty well. The committee bit is the bit that has been the perennial sort of, that we had some really good longevity through Steve Christou's reign and a few people around there. But as you know, people's lives change all the time with regard to work commitments and where they're at as well. So that's probably the big call to arms for us at the moment is committee members and people wanting, looking at subcommittees, because we try and, pull a focus on that as well.
Absolutely. Mate, we wish you all the very best for the year ahead. We're going to have the captain of the senior men's team coming up very, very shortly, Tom Langman. Really looking forward to that. But in the meantime, Brett, all the very best for the year ahead.
Steve, Tochi, thanks very much. Appreciate the time. And, we're really excited by it and looking forward to it.
Thanks, Brett. All the best, mate.
Thanks, guys.
Welcome back to the Geelong Region Soccer Show. It is episode 77, and it is an absolute pleasure to have joining us the captain of the Surf Coast senior men's team, Tom Langman. Tom, a very warm welcome to you, and thank you for joining us on the Geelong Region Soccer Show.
Thanks a lot for having me, Tonchi, and good to see you as well, Steve.
Thanks, Tom. Well, your mic's working very well, I think, so everyone will be able to hear what you've got to say. Now, where should we start tonight? Cool. Well, let's start and talk a little bit about the cause. I think we'll start with first, and we'll talk a little bit about the predicament facing your sister at the moment. Did you want to fill in our viewers a little bit more about that in case they haven't heard the story?
Yeah, so a big thank you to Tonchi as well for sharing, I guess, this story. So about 4 or 5 weeks ago, my sister was diagnosed with leukemia. So she's my younger sister at 30, so pretty big shock to myself and the family. But through the support of the Barwon Health Foundation, we've been able to put together a bit of a fundraising campaign for cancer services down here in the Geelong region. And I guess with their support and the support, I guess, of other clubs that I've been involved with, it's gone tremendously well. We've managed to raise over $7,000 for that cause. And it's trying to just, I guess, it's a bit of improving, I guess, the awareness of cancer with younger people across the country, but also improving, I guess, the experience of cancer patients in the region.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, leukemia. There's a lot of people in the community, a lot of young people who are dealing with it, and a lot of us just aren't really aware of it. And it takes people like yourself sometimes to step up and go the whole hog on taking all the feathers off the top there and make a bit of a statement and support people going through this, such as your sister. So, well done to you on that. And did that take place on Saturday? Did it?
Yeah, it did. So I managed to be able to fly up to Sydney to see her over the weekend, and on Saturday afternoon we were able to have a bit of a get together in a park out there. Very distant, I guess, with her, I guess, immunity levels, but it was I think meant an awful lot to her to see so much support around her, because it's a big thing for anyone, but especially for a young female to be losing their hair. So I think she felt really well supported.
There's the website where people can donate, www.barwonhealthfoundation.org.au/fundraisers/Tom's shaving his head. Now, look, you're almost there. You're almost like 3/4 of the way there. That's the website there. There's a lot of people that are already donating. There's a little bit of a blurb there to the background of it. But yeah, tell us, like, acute lymphoblastic leukemia. I mean, it seems any cancer is devastating at any time, but to be struck in the prime of your life, and it seems to be one that does affect a lot of adults and young adults. I know a neighbour of mine down here in Lara, who was a very, very active young man who's in his, I think, mid to late 40s, and he got diagnosed with leukemia only about a year or so ago, and I ran into him at a community function just yesterday, and was just struck by how weak he looks after all the treatment. But mate, tell us a bit more about this.
Yeah, so I guess with the particular type my sister has, it usually occurs in adolescence, so about 65% are under the age of 16, and then it's rarer in adults, but I guess the treatment course for this is pretty intense. So I guess seeing my sister, she's been in hospital for a little while now with her first round of chemo, but there's multiple rounds up to probably 24 months worth of treatment for her. Mm-hmm. And again, it's pretty full on. And I guess it's probably most people who've seen someone with chemo, it takes a fair bit out of you. But I guess fortunately for us, she's young, she's fit, she's healthy, and she's in quite really good hands up in Sydney at St. Vincent's Hospital.
Yeah, and good of you to be able to travel up there to Sydney on the weekend as well. And I'm sure you'll be looking to get a few frequent flyer points up, going back and forth to visit her and support her over the coming months. Then, Tom.
Yeah, definitely, and it's something I've had a good chat with Rob Panetta, our coach, about from the start. Just I guess where my commitments lie this year, and I guess with anyone, a family always comes first. So he's been super supportive the whole way through. And even though I guess it was a pretty big game on the weekend, there was no questions asked. As soon as I said what I needed to do, he was fully supportive. Mm-hmm. And same with the team. I guess they've been amazing the whole way through.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I guess you would love to have come onto the program, all triumphant, and we having won, and unfortunately it wasn't to be. But I guess the the reason why they didn't win was because you weren't playing. Let's say that. But there was some. We've got some unbelievable footage. And this thanks to Sam Santoro from Bell Park Soccer Club. We're actually going to play some of that footage in the background while we're talking. 2 goals by Versace. Look at that. That's just a pile driver. It was just amazing. It's been a great start to the season for the Coasters. 2 wins from the opening 2 games and a little bit of a setback here. What's the feeling like in the dressing room at the moment, Tom?
The feeling's really positive at the moment. I think last year it was a bit of an interrupted start and an interrupted season, but this pre-season we've really been able to feel what Rob's been trying to build us as a team. We've had some really handy additions to our squad. We're bringing in players such as Jackson Davis, James Anderson, Nathan Cook, John Sarah, and even getting someone like Jack Banks back who missed a lot of the season last year, and Toby Masters, who was playing at Melbourne Uni last season. We've added a bit of depth to our squad, and I guess we've had a full pre-season this year. There's a good feeling amongst the squad, and I guess the competitiveness at training is really kind of trying to drive what we're trying to achieve this year.
Now, you mentioned about the competitiveness at training, competition for spots, and the good form in the first 2 games of the season in particular as well. Do you ever find that the competition gets a bit too hot at training, and yourself being a health practitioner and a physiotherapist, do players ever go down at training or in matches and ask for a bit of help from not someone on the sidelines but yourself as a teammate?
Sometimes I try and kind of play it down a little bit, but no, it's good. I think the competitive sit training is kind of what we need, especially, I guess, at state 4 level. To be able to have any sort of success, you kind of need to train how you want to play. So it's a fine line, I guess, between competitiveness and over the top at training, but I guess we're really trying to find that balance.
Now, we just saw the ladder there. Tom, we'll go back to that ladder. So Surf Coast at the moment sitting in 5th position. This weekend, another Geelong derby, another local derby, this time in Bannockburn, taking on Golden Plains, who are really struggling at the moment. 3 losses from 3 games. But I guess, like any other team, you don't want to really underestimate Golden Plains. Do you know much about Golden Plains? I mean, you did sort of take part in the pre-season Coast to Cup. What was it? The Coast to...
Country to Coast.
Country to Coast Cup, yeah, that's right. That was held in Bannockburn. Were you able to see much of Golden Plains during that tournament?
Unfortunately not. I guess they played at similar times to us, but I guess they seem to have a pretty similar team to what they've had last year. But based on their results this season, the losses that they've had have been a lot narrower than last year. And I guess it seems like they're trying to build. They've got a very young squad, and the more experience they get, they're only going to develop as a team.
Yeah, then maybe not far away. Who knows? They might turn it around soon, but obviously, hopefully not this week, of course, because you guys want to get the 3 points out at Bannockburn. Now, your coach, Rob Panetta, he's actually been around at Banyawari for a couple of years now. Has his message this year been more of the same from previous years, or is he tweaking anything a little bit more this year to try and adjust the results and how things pan out this year?
I think it's been a clear message on the type of football we want to play this year. So I think last year was, again, a challenging year with a lot of movement of players during the season, but it's been pretty settled this season, and it's really trying to establish what we want to do on the pitch. And even given the result on the weekend and the loss to Bell Park, I think anyone that would have watched the game would kind of seen what we're about this year. It's a lot about trying to, I guess, get the ball down and play football. We kind of deviated away from that for a little while last season, but again this year, especially the players we've been able to bring in, it's really trying to get that ball down on the deck and actually play.
And that pitch looks really good out in those pictures that we saw of the weekend's footage there. I take it if the pitch out at Surf Coast is in good nick, the grass pitch as well, you're able to do that?
Yeah, that's the plan, as long as they keep cutting it before the games. It's got a bit long pre-season, but fortunately we were able to play at Bannockburn in the pre-season cup that you talked about, and if anything, their pitch is probably looking a little bit better than ours at the moment.
That's another facility that's being constructed at the moment. They're having clubroom expansion. They've got a second pitch there as well, floodlit. So it's great to see a lot of the facilities around Geelong getting a makeover and getting a real a facelift. But mate, we talked about Rob Panetta's compassionate side. when it came to your personal circumstances. But the man, he owns several gyms, so he's got a real strong health and fitness background. He's also got a military background, I'm told. What's he like as a coach? He's not appearing today, so we can talk freely. Is he one of those strict disciplinarians, or is he one that's, gets down and dirty with the players, or gets down to their level and really sort of tries to nurture them, or is it somewhere in the middle?
I think he strikes a really good balance with it. During the pre-season, we saw it, especially bringing in others with expertise. So pre-season running schedules based off a program from Jared Bailey from Deakin Uni. For strength and conditioning, he brings in people that he's worked with in his gyms to help, I guess, focus on some body weight exercises and that strength side. And then, I guess, during pre-season, as much time with the ball as possible. So really having that football focus. Because otherwise, But he finds a balance every now and again. He has to kind of rule with an iron fist a little bit, but most of the time he's finding that balance to really try and get us to play the type of football that he wants us to play.
Yeah, and that's probably maybe like as well evidenced by the fact that it seems to be like a certain air of professionalism there at Surf Coast. We talk fantastic facilities, and the facilities are getting even better. Some great sponsors there, and then when you've got that level or that caliber of coaching, as players, you must really feel quite good coming to training, that's your kind of place of work. You must feel thrilled with what you've got available to you.
Yeah, and it's something we've really tried to work on over the past couple of seasons, is that kind of culture and the professionalism we bring. This year with Ultra Football, we've had to, I guess, kind of kit ourselves out a bit more with training kits, match day attire as well, just so I guess we're starting to add that next level on in terms of appearance, as well as, I guess, the culture that we're driving at the club.
Now, it'd be remiss of us, Tom, not to ask you about your own form on the pitch this season. Let's talk a little bit about that. If you're playing a similar role to previous years, where are you lining up on the pitch on match day? Are you happy with your form, and you think you've still got a few good years to keep going after this one?
Rob's pretty clear at us in training. I've only got one position on the park, and that's centre back. But no, it's been a tricky one, a very difficult year last year with a couple of injuries, but it's been good to get a pre-season under my belt this year. And I guess apart from the result on the weekend, it felt that we were starting to build the first two games, especially just trying to be really solid defensively. And it helps having someone alongside me with the experience of Jackson Davis as well this year. But I guess I'd hope I've got a few more years left in me, but at the same time, I guess any of us, I guess, older players at the club, we're waiting for that younger group to come in and kind of kick us out of a spot, really. Don't want to hang around until I'm told I can't run anymore.
Oh, it sounds like a formidable central defensive pairing that you've got there with Jackson, so I'm sure people will keep their distance.
Now, Jackson's very loud. When he was at Karaya, he was very loud. He virtually, you could never shut him up when he was a centre back there. What's he like there is he a little bit more shy coming to Surf Coast, or is he as loud and as exuberant as ever, Jackson Davis?
I don't think he'll ever change Jacko and the way he plays. Even from week one, he leads on the park with his talk and I guess the way he plays. So no, he's been a fantastic addition to the squad.
Excellent. Big shout out to Jackson Davis. I'm sure he's tuning into this program. Steve, any last questions for our guest tonight?
Oh, what can we finish off with a fun one? Maybe you've had a couple of wins this season. Who out of the squad's been who's been the best at celebrating those wins after you've got them? Has there been someone who's put in a good performance on the tiles of a Saturday night after a win this season?
Not sure about best performance, but definitely we got a worst one after a couple of those wins, and that'd be one of our younger players, Frank Hadji Giorgio. Just still trying to learn to control his drink a little bit. But no, it was good. I think after our first win away up at Spring Hills, a few of the boys went out afterwards just to celebrate as a group and celebrate one of our players' birthdays. So it's a good feeling amongst the club.
And you'll be back this weekend, Tom, will you?
Yeah, as long as Rob picks me.
The pressure's on. There we go. Well, Thursday night, selection night, I suppose. Mate, all the very, very best to you. If we can, we're going to pop that graphic up again so that people can donate. Now, even though the head shaving event took place on Saturday, people are still able to donate to that fund. Is that right?
Yeah, we're hoping to keep it over for a few more weeks now. I guess the reason for the shave on the weekend was just timing with my sister's treatment, but I guess it's more about the awareness and the cause that we're trying to promote, which is cancer in the Geelong region. So the foundation are happy to keep this open for a little bit of time after a few more weeks at least.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're going to try and do our best to publicise it. There you go, folks. www.barwonhealthfoundation.org.au/fundraisers/Tom's shaving his head. And I believe these days anything that's over $2 is tax deductible. And folks, with the end of the financial year fast approaching, this is a good opportune time to do that. Tom, thank you so much for joining us tonight and giving us a little bit of an awareness. I mean, I know I always say Bill Shankly always used to, that great Liverpool legend, always he's renowned for his quote, "Football is not a matter of life or death. It's more important than that." But then again, there are things that are indeed more important than football, and certainly the health and well-being of our family members is one of those things. So it's great that you've been able to come out and be an ambassador for both your sister, but also for those people who find themselves in a similar predicament here in the Barwon region.
No, thanks a lot for having me, Tonchi and Steve.
Really appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for your time, mate, and all the best.
Thank you.
Tom Langman, head coach, not the head coach, he's the captain of the senior men's team at Surf Coast FC. Steve, that pretty much brings us to the end of the show. We've got a huge one next week. We've got former Melbourne Victory defender. I think he was a one-time Socceroo as well. He also had a stint in the old National Soccer League with the Melbourne Knights. None other than our region's own Adrian Leyer. He'll be joining us to talk about his illustrious football career, but also life post-football. He has recently invested in a Curva coaching franchise here in Geelong. And over the Easter holidays, over the term one holidays, he will be running a clinic for children in the Geelong region. We'll find out all about that. Should be a really interesting conversation, that because he's had I think he played in South Korea, did he not? Or somewhere like that as well?
Yeah, I believe he did. Yeah, after he finished in at Melbourne Victory and then came back. And then he also recently turned out in the Masters Summer League as well, but he didn't play his usual position as central defence. I think he played in a midfield role. So we'll have to ask him about that.
Right?
Yeah, true. It's a true story. So we'll have to ask him about that, but also we'll have to find out more because I'm very excited about the concept of Curva coaching. It's got a lot of merit, and it's something that we can take a deep dive into and look forward to doing so.
And it also has been announced that current Western United midfielder and a former Curva coaching student, Stephen Lushtitzer, will also be taking part in those Geelong clinics. So certainly a great reason, a great excuse to tune into next week's Geelong Region Soccer Show on Monday night at 8 p.m. Until then, Steve, mate, have a great weekend, great week, and a great weekend. Are you commentating any games this coming weekend?
Yeah, I'll be up the tower at Altona this Saturday at 6 o'clock. We've got that 6-pointer Altona Magic and Dandy City. So NPL.tv, NPL.tv. Download the app, cast it onto your TV, and enjoy. And we can catch you on Wednesday night with Josip on the Oz Crow Football Show.
Oz Crow Soccer Show. Our guest will be Josip Lončarić, who actually happens to be the cousin of Mark Viduka, but he is the head of a Keilor Downs College, I think it's called Keilor Downs College Soccer Academy, Football Academy
in the western suburbs of Melbourne.
An amazing academy. What they're doing with some of the young kids down there, incredible. And he's got some really, really good insights into youth development and coaching, having himself passed through the national youth league system of once upon a time. So that's on Wednesday night. And then next week, we've got another big show with the Football Out West show. Lots of football, lots of soccer, folks. On that note, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Really, really appreciate it. And to all those people that have been involved with the comments section as well, really, really good to have you all as well, part of tonight's show. Good night, folks, and thank you once again.
Good night.